First of all, Lightroom is huge. It does a lot of stuff. I cannot cover everything that Lightroom does. There are lots of other sources of information. A couple of sources you might want to consider. There's the old favourite, Matt Ploskowski. Ploskowski. Yeah. Okay. He does all sorts of good stuff on Lightroom. And it's quite reasonable. There's Scott Kelby. I agree with some of his stuff. I vehemently disagree with some of his stuff. But it gives you an idea. There's Julienne Coste. She has a series at the moment on YouTube. I think there have been 16 so far. They're 5 minute long, just 5 minutes. And they cover little aspects of Lightroom. And they're really good. They're not complete in themselves either, but they are quite enough to actually pick something useful up from each of them. So Julienne Coste, I would recommend looking at her YouTube channel and picking up what you can.
Julienne Coste.
Julienne. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, she's a really good photo show. It's all there.
Yes. She is very good. And he's not got one of the horrendous American accents that drive people around the bend or drive me around the bend. So I can listen to her reasonably well. Okay. Right. That's my preamble. Tonight, I am going to talk about the very basics of Lightroom, but concentrating on what isn't often done, the catalogue. The actual processing, I will go over that fairly quickly. But the cataloguing side, most people don't understand. And it's really useful. It is the most powerful aspect of Lightroom. Everything else you can do in Bridge and Photoshop. But if you want to find your photos in several years' time, then I defy you to do it easily without using a catalogue of some description. So we're talking about the cataloguing. I'm going to be demonstrating this by basically a full process from sticking your card from the camera into the computer, reading them from the card, doing what you need to do with them until you take your image and dump it into Photoshop. There will be, as is anything in Lightroom, a more than strong hint towards quality. You want to maintain the quality of your image wherever possible. And that starts even before I'm starting. Now that starts in your camera. Get it right. In camera, you've less to do. And it will, I'm going to fall back on what I call the Lightroom mindset. Now, for people who have been using Lightroom since the year dot, and quite a few others, you'll have that mindset already there. For others, you need to get into the habit of using Lightroom. Work in Lightroom. Do not be tempted to come out and do something else somewhere else in Bridge and whatever and just sort of go straight to the file and twiddle with it. Do not be tempted to do that. Go through Lightroom. Always. And that's the mindset I'm going to try to get over to you. Once you've got that in your head, you can bounce out as much as you like because all the files are available outside Lightroom. You just need that mindset to know that whenever you're doing any messing about with your files, you do it from Lightroom, not outside it, ever. Right, okay. Shall we plunge us into dark and then we'll get going? Because I've rattled on for far too long as it is. Soon, but it might feel like a long time. Right, this, as you see here, is the library module. It's dead simple. In the middle, you've got your photos. This is what's called grid view. You can do fancy filtering on the grid view. I'm going to turn that off so it's not distracting you. You have stuff down at the bottom which helps you navigate and apply settings to pictures. Down right at the very bottom, you've got the film strip. Some people love the film strip, some people don't, but it's got all your pictures in. And if you are looking at one picture, you can see all the other pictures that are around it. It's easy to navigate. I will be hitting buttons and you'll wonder what's going on. And at some point, someone's going to say, "What did you do?" And then I'll tell you, because I'll forget otherwise. Down on this left-hand side, got it right then, left-hand side, we have the stuff about the files, where they live. Up at the top, you've got the actual small preview of not necessarily the file you're editing, but if you go down to the film strip, you can see it changes as I go over the different files. It's handy. Down here, you've got your files. All the files that Lightroom knows about are in here. All of them. The catalogue. So, for instance, this one, all the photographs in this catalogue are 4,388. So it's a very small catalogue. You can see exactly where the files are, what hard drive they're on. We'll come to that in a bit. Also down here, you've got this wonderful thing called collections. And I'm going to go into depth in that later. On the other side, you have the most amazing thing on the planet, the histogram. That tells you what your picture looks like. There isn't a good or a bad histogram, just the one that describes your picture. So let's pick on that one. As you see, that one is overexposed. You can see it's overexposed on the thumbnail there, but if you look on the histogram, you can see it butts up against the end and falls off the end. You've lost those pixels. Below that, you have what's called quick develop. I'll talk about that in a bit. And then below that, you've got your keywords and other metadata. So lots of metadata that you can add. You can add manually afterwards. Your camera may add some. Again, we'll get to that. Keywording. This keywording bit is the bit which really, really helps you find your photos. And it is worth, as you go along, adding appropriate keywords. Good. Good girl. Now, I know I have a brain which doesn't come up with words, so I struggle with finding suitable keywords at times. But you have to still keep on top of it.
This is amazing.
Oh, yes. If you don't know the correct terminology for it, put something else in that means the same sort of thing.
4 legs and a tail.
Why not?
That's done.
So, put something in. And later on, not too much later because you will not do it, you can refine them. Add some more. Yes, Chuck.
Just remember your keywords. On which there's keyword, it's not all one word. You can have a phrase as your keyword.
Oh, yes.
You separate them with a comma.
There is actually a lot of complexity in the keywords, but I'm not going to go into the great depth of hierarchical keywords and various other things like that because I don't use it and I can't tell you what I don't use. So that's all that. So enough wittering. Oh, I've spent too long on that one already. It's going to be one of those nights, isn't it? Okay. SD card. SD card reader. Shove it in. Notice it's not disappeared off to read the card automatically. I've turned that off because it does me head in. So now we'll go to import. Several ways you can do it. Big button at the bottom there, or you can do it from your menus. But big button at the bottom, hit import button, and it brings up this dialogue, this humongous great big thing here. Yes, as you saw, the first ones didn't quite work. This is a shoot from today. I tacked my little bit on the end just so I'd have something for you lot. And nothing quite worked as I wanted it to, as is always the case when you're doing these sort of things. Anyway, when you have a card in and you import, it will automatically, usually, go to the card. If it doesn't, tell it to. This is your source. You've got this bit up here, you can choose your source from that. You've got these bits down here, which are the normal way of displaying files and folders. Navigate to where it's coming from. Make sure you have include subfolders, because most camera cards, the images are not in the folder you want. So you turn that off, you get that, it says, I can't find any. You haven't got any, you've not given me any filters. And you go, oh, sugar, and have a little panic.
All right, somebody's been on the giggle juice.
So make sure you click on include subfolders. Most of the time, you will be, because you are really good, you will be importing your folders from one shoot. Yeah, I know. It makes life a lot easier if you do. If you don't, there's a little thing here which says eject after import. Turn it off. And import your shoots one at a time. That helps. Okay, moving on. Up in the middle here, it says copy as ding. I don't know anybody uses that. I haven't used it. It had a use, but everybody ignores it. Don't do it. Copy. There is one here says move. It knows it's coming from a card from the camera. It will not allow you to move. because you don't want to move. You want to copy them. Work safely. There's another one here called Add, and it won't let you have the card as where these files normally live. It wants them somewhere safe because you're going to format your card after. So you copy them. Now, this side is where you copy them and what you do with them. Up here, you've got another of these, what disk you want to put them on. Down here, you've got what's called file handling. It's how to deal with the pictures that it comes in. You've got several options. Come back to that one in a minute. You've got build smart previews. Does anybody use smart previews? One. I always do. Every single time it is on automatically. Why? It's an extra backup. When everything goes pear-shaped, and we all know computers, there are times when everything goes pear-shaped. If you can get at your catalogue, you have a usable backup of your images. Okay, it's only 2,500 pixels on the longest edge. Well, that's enough for a competition.
And with AI these days to upsize this.
Exactly. It's amazing. It's just, they are not that big and they are quick to produce. Well, damn sight quicker than an ordinary JPEG preview.
They're the ones when you tend to lose track of where your images are.
No.
It'll still show the thumbnail because you've got smart.
That's not necessarily. That's if you've got any previews in. Any previews will do that. This next one down here says, don't import suspected duplicates. Please leave that on, unless you've got a really, 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 really good reason to import your pictures twice, or 3 times, or more.
You remember to format your memory card.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. You want to know that you've got to imported your pictures, and it won't import them again. And having forgotten or for somehow ticked it off and had more than one of the same bloody image coming in and cluttering up my catalogue, they're a pain in the posterior to get rid of. Don't do it. Just don't import suspected duplicates. If it doesn't want to import it, it's because it knows about it. So you don't need to. Okay, you've got other things on here. Make a second copy too. If you are ultra paranoid for that shoot, then you can make a second copy to somewhere else, to another separate drive. It will hammer your efficiency on importing the images. But if it's a shoot that's really important, get a second copy of it.
I did that with the days.
Right. I don't do it.
I always do.
I don't do it because I build smart previews. I keep them on the card until I've actually edited it and generate another backup from the catalogue and from the files. You can add to a collection if you've got an existing collection in that you want to add these pictures to, but I'm not going to worry about that at the minute. And back up to here, embedded and sidecar, it says up there. These are the previews that it builds. It can build all these types of previews. Minimal, embedded, standard, one-to-one. Now, for editing, one-to-one previews are wonderful. They take forever to build. I mean, it can nearly double the time of your import, depending on the power of your computer. And if your computer isn't particularly powerful, it can more than double it. They are slow. And to be honest, you don't need them. Because Lightroom will quite happily produce these images in the background for you. You don't need to worry about them. Standard means it's enough to fit on, there we go, enough to fit on the screen. It's a brilliant photo, that. I've got a lot of those. Must be good. It's not even sharp.
Would that sort of picture be regarded as a similar to one you've already imported?
No,
No.
no.
Right.
It's,
Okay.
Got a different file name.
yes.
Oh,
It's
right.
ones that you have imported beforehand, not one that's similar in this shoot.
Understand.
And
Yeah.
it's not only file name, because if you've got a big catalogue, they come in with the same file name.
Yes, it's file names and other parameters.
Yeah. Other data.
Thank you.
Right, so standard means it fits the screen. So you can work on it, but it's not a full size. And you can control what size you want them to be. They don't take that long to produce, but they're not much use. Minimal are even smaller than that. I don't know how small they are. I've never generated minimal. I think that's totally pointless. Unless you are really trying to work in grid view. Then there's this other one, embedded and sidecar. Most cameras will embed a JPEG of that image into the raw file. Most cameras will embed a full-size image into the raw file. So what's the point in generating another one if you've already got one? I suggest that generally you should consider embedded and sidecar to be, and that's what I'm going to be doing. Right, moving on. File handling we've dealt with. File renaming. You can rename your files as you bring them in. This has major advantages in that when you find that file again, anytime, anywhere, you know what it's about because you've named it something sensible. You do not have to do it. If you want to keep the camera names, then don't rename them. It's no use beyond that one shoot. And it has no advantages whatsoever, but you can do it. I'm going to rename these. I'm going to call them Old Man. I'm going to start a sequence from 1. So it will produce, if you look down here, Old Man 001.cr3. Then I've got an idea what it's about. Again, you don't have to do that. Apply during import. Few things here. There's the develop settings. You can apply any of these. Most of these are totally useless for import. But there are some defaults which you decide what works for you. Try different ones. See what you think. I'm going to stick to Adobe default. You can have none, which is not far off Adobe default. You can make your own, but I haven't got time to go into making your own. It used to be dead quick and simple. It's a little more complicated now, but never mind. Metadata. Yes. Always. Always add metadata. So I'm going to add my own personal metadata to this. Let's show you what to do. You go on to new. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to look through here. Most of these won't apply to anybody. If you're doing a professional shoot, you need to fill in some of these. Now, whether you do that after you've imported them, or if it's a shoot that you do regularly, you want to produce a preset to dump them all in automatically, it's up to you. So some of these, I'm struggling seeing it, but never mind. Basic info, camera info, IPTC, accessibility, doesn't matter. IPTC content, professional stuff, you need that, you need those filling in. For the rest of us, mere mortals, you want to put in these two. These are selected by default. So you put your copyright information in. So copyright status is copyrighted. That's written into it now. Now your camera may already do that, so you may not need to do that. It's up to you. Creator. Also put who you are. If somebody finds one of these images on the interweb and you think, I love that, I want to use it, it's copyright. Okay, who do I contact? Well, there's no information. I don't know. So they go away and you've lost a potential sale. So we'll jump that in there. You can put your address, your city, your lots of other things. Postcode, really useful. Contact details. Country is useful. So they know what copyright rules apply. Your phone is really useful to have in. Then they can ring you up. Certainly your email address. A website, if you've got one, stick it in. A little further down, if you look where these blue dots are, these blue dots means you can turn it on and off. If you leave it turned on, it will overwrite whatever is written in your file already. But credit line, this is your byline in a magazine. Keep that in. Put it in what you want to put where you want it to say. You know. There you go.
What have you put, Mike?
I can't spell. That's right. There we go. By Mike at Steel Orchid. That's my byline. There isn't anything else that you need to put in. Most of this is irrelevant anyway. But if you have those, I haven't set that, so I'm going to turn that one off. I haven't set my phone number and I haven't set the website, so I'll turn those off just in case. And then create. And then there we go. Whenever I select that, that information will be put in the file. This is something you really should get into the habit of doing. Once it's there, you never need to make it again, unless you change something. Just put it in. Then we come to the really painful aspect of importing pictures. Keywords. Keywords are fantastic. They're wonderful. They're a pain in the posterior.
It's easy if they're all empty chairs.
It's easier than empty chairs, yeah. But put some that at this stage only put in keywords that apply to all your shoot, which is why I say separate your shoots when you import them. Because you can apply all your keywords to that one shoot. So, you know, it's sort of old man, monks.
You put commas.
Have it, comma between the keywords. Then the keywords is a phrase as well. Doesn't have to be. You know, whatever you think you might use at a later date to find it.
They're helpful if you actually told us what you were writing, because we can't actually read any of it.
Can't you? Oh, right.
We can't see it.
Okay. I put old man, monk's habit, beard, studio, portrait, self-portrait. Hopefully. If I spelled it right, yeah. So that's what I put in. It will do at the moment. No, I'm going to put one more in. Garage, which will just remind me where I took them. So
Was it studio? I
yeah,
thought it was studio. That's what I just said. I said just in front of the studio.
just studio, but it could be any studio. So I'm being more specific. You put in whatever you want. It's up to you. And then you decide where you're going to put them. Now, what often happens is it wants to put them in this mythical folder on your hard disk on drive C called pictures. Resist the temptation. Please put it anywhere else but in pictures. Do not use pictures. Pictures is not a real folder. Do not use it ever.
We got that.
For storing your photos. You can use it as a temporary file for bits and pieces, but for your pictures, for a permanent place, do not do that. Now, there is a strong argument for using an external hard drive to store your photos. There's an equally strong argument for not doing. External hard drives are slow. It will slow down your import. It will slow down your editing. If you've got a reasonably fast external hard drive, you can get away with it and you won't notice. Give you an example. I'm using this big 5.5 inch hard drive, external hard drive. It isn't particularly fast. The basic specs say it's 120 megabytes a second. The reality it isn't. The type of writing to the files, writing to the hard drive that Lightroom uses takes it down to about 28, which is painful. The card reader can read at 250. Well, card reader can read about 300, depending on the speed of your card. I use a reasonable speed card and it reads at 250 megabytes a second. So 250 down to 25. It can be a bit slow. But the speed of the hard drive isn't everything that slows it all down. To give you an example, I imported a 1400 image set onto the hard drive and it took an hour. I did exactly the same files onto the internal hard drive, which has a write speed of just over 3,500 megabytes a second, which is significantly faster. It took half an hour.
SSD drive.
It's an NVMe. Yeah. So it makes a difference, but not as much a difference as you'd think. So consider using an external one. I'm using an external one. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. As long as you are consistent where you put them and don't put them anywhere stupid. Pictures. Documents. Desktop. All these places are not real. Don't use them. Make something to put them in. I call mine stills, but you can call them whatever you feel like, raw, whatever. Make a folder at the top called something sensible and put them underneath. So I'm going to put these onto the external hard drive. See down here? Click on that, it opens it up. They're going in stills. Now, you can, see at the top here, you can put them into a folder. It will make a folder for you. you can give it a name. I'm going to call it Old Man again, because I don't need to think about it. And it's going to put it into a folder called Old Man. And if you look in here, that's where it is, Old Man. Down at the bottom here, if you've got more than one shoot on your card, you can turn them off. If you arrange them by date, you can turn them off so you don't import them. So I ask you to avoid, and I know you will succumb to it. I do all the time. You come to a thing, you importing them. You want to get them imported as quick as you can. You've forgotten where you took them. Right at that moment, you have no idea where you took these bloody pictures. You haven't got a clue. You can't remember the bride's name. You can't remember the church that they were at. You can't remember the groom's name. You can't remember who they're for. So you don't put them in a subfolder. You arrange them by date. That is the lazy way of doing it. How many people have gone back several years for the photos they are using currently?
Sorry, what's the question?
How do you go back many years to look up photos? Yes, you do. And can you remember what year you took a particular photo? Because I bloody can't. Some can. Good. Not always.
Not if it's a bug in there. If you're customarily taking holiday in a particular place, you're not sure. Like I have lots of Dorset pictures.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly which year I took that particular picture of the coast.
Yeah.
Same with us, with Daisy Duck pictures of Crime Lake.
Yeah, exactly. You don't, you know.
If there's a lot in the same location, you
I
don't
went to Blackpool air show.
Yep.
Every year if I go, then I put 2024.
Yes, you can. If you have a lot of them, you can give it a year so you can differentiate which they are. But they're all air show.
They're all air show.
So
At Blackpool.
put them all in a folder called air show.
Blackpool.
So I'm putting this into Old Man. I am still keeping the date on a subfolder. I have used dates forever because that was the easiest way. And I still feel comfortable having a dated folder. You don't need to, because Lightroom knows the date they were taken. You can ask it. But if you want, you can put them in dates. Right. There's some other stuff down here. You can sort them, different ways of sorting them, different ways, different sizes of folders. Looking at this, you can see there's a lot of pictures at the top here that are neither useful, and I really don't want to import them because it went awry, as things do. So I'm going to select those, and I'm not going to import them. I've just turned them off. See, they hit that little tick box. Turn them off. Don't import those. I've got all these down here. All those. I don't need them. Bin them. I don't need to see them ever again. I don't need to import them. I don't need to take up any space. I don't need to bring them in to throw them away, do I? So that's the quickest. So that's the first level of culling your pictures. So I'm now going to import them. I'll hit the import button. I don't know how long this is going to take. So while that's doing, you can do other things at the same time.
The catalogue.
Is it brew? It is brew time, isn't it? Okay, let's have a brew while it imports these. As you can see, I've already generated smart previews. Right. So
All happy, we'll start again. Thank you.
Okay, down at the bottom here, we're still in the library module. We've imported them, but I can't see them because I've turned it off. There is an option in the preferences that you can turn on immediately going to the your import. I don't want to. So I'm going down to here. See this? This gives you lots of places to go to. It's a quick way of moving round. You put your favourites in here, collections, recent places that you've been. So I'm going to go to previous import. This is the really exciting stuff that I brought in. I have done most of the culling before I imported it, but we can do some culling now. Culling, that means getting rid of the crap. There are lots of ways of doing it. We have lots of systems. See down here? We've got stars. That is not a 5-star.
Yeah.
Oh, and that one as well. I'm giving them all sorts of things already. Let's get rid of them. Giving them nothing. Now, you have stars, you have coloured labels, and you have flags. You choose the method you are happiest with. I know there are people whose mind works in such a way that stars means they've got to give it 5 stars if it's any good.
All different companies I'm entering has 5 stars already on it, and I do it too then.
My particular way of working is I've got 5 and none. I can give it 1.
On 5 there's nowhere to go.
No, you can't go up. 5 doesn't mean it's the best thing in the world. And at this stage, you don't care. You are culling. You are quickly, very quickly trying to sort out the wheat from the chaff. So all you need to do, I suggest using a 1 for ones you want to look at again. You might see, as you're looking through these little ones, something that's fantastic. Give it a 2. That means it's really good. And don't give it anything if you don't want to see it again. And if it's absolute garbage, use the other one. You've got an X. That means it will reject it.
You got keyboard shortcuts for these, obviously.
Yes. The X is for
X for X.
X for getting rid of. And the numbers for 1 to 5. You can put the colours in. Use the colours for meaning something else. So let's have a look. Now I can quickly go through here. I'm ignoring that one. That's a possibility. So I'll go that a 1. Now notice it's immediately jumping onto the next picture. It doesn't do that by default. You can either turn caps lock on to make it do it, or I can never remember where it bloody lives, but somewhere in the menus, and I've forgotten.
Auto advance.
Auto advance.
There
There we go. I can't. No, yeah, auto advance. As you can tell, I haven't got my glasses right for doing anything yet. So, auto advance.
Full screen, will it still do that?
Yes, it will. Auto advance means it auto advance. It basically toggles the effect of the caps lock. So if you still want to not go on to the next one, put caps lock on, and it won't. So this is a quick way of doing it. So that one, yeah, I'll give that a 1. That's an X. Don't want that one. That one, that's a 1. That's a 1. Don't like that one. Not keen on that one. Got my eyes shut on that one. I'll get rid of that one. That looks all right. That looks all right. That one, I don't know where I'm going. I think I'm being sick. And you can go through fairly quickly. You can also just double click to go in at a bigger size. you're looking at composition. You're not really looking at any fine details. Don't try to agonize over every picture. You know, which is why I say only use a one. You know, I want to look at it again. Is it really good? I don't care. So you can go through that way and go through them going, yeah, that's a one. That's all right. That's all right. Definitely look a bit weird on that one, but it's worth another look.
The ones you're culling completely, are they going out to Lightroom or they go?
No, they are just being rejected. They're marked as rejected. You can then delete your rejected later. Yes. So you can do that. Or let's go back. I'm hitting the G key. G for grid. Back in the grid, there are other things you can do. You've got this marvelous tool down here. It's called the paint can. You can click on that and you can decide what it does. So it's going to flag it at the minute. Well, I want it rating. I want it to rate 1. So I can look at these and then go, actually, I like all of those. So I'm just dragging it over. See? Click. And drag it. Those are nothings. I'll probably delete most of those, but it's useful to have a background in my collection. So you can go through and say just give that one, that one, that one, that one. Just click on them. And the ones I'm leaving behind are zeros, so I'm not going to do anything with them. So eyes are shut on that one, I think. No, I'll have it anyway. Those. I'm hiding my head on there. I'm doing something stupid there. Drag those. And drag those. That spray can be any of these. Keywords. You can add keywords as quickly as that.
I've never used that spray.
No, I never use that, and now I'm going to use it every day.
I just keyword using control. Control select.
Yeah.
We use a spray can.
It's
spray can the flag. It's a bit of flag that you have ticked.
Yes. So flag rejected.
Will it do two things at once, flag and?
No, it will do one at a time. Yeah. So you can choose what you want to do with it. And that's it, cold. I don't need to bother doing any more with them. I've whittled them down now to something I want to look at. So I can go down here, this bit down here, which is always there. Turn it on. I'm going to filter. These are all the ones. Straight away, I've gone to the ones. I have no twos, just the ones. If you don't want to use ratings, you can use a pick. So you could just use flags. Pick and an X. Does the same thing. Pick a method and stick with it. But don't try at this stage to go too complicated. You don't need to. So, what else? I forgot else what I'm doing because I'm miles behind, as you know.
How are you removing your ones that you don't want? Are you shift clicking, selecting them at the bottom?
No.
Or do they automatically just disappear?
I've just selected the 1 stars. If I turn that filter off, all the pictures are there.
But you don't want them to grayed out, do you?
These, no. But I'll come back to them when I'm ready.
Right.
I don't need to worry about them. When I've done and sorting the pictures out, then I can just delete any X ones straight away. I don't need to think about it. The rejected, bin them. I can probably delete all the unmarked ones. But you never know. You may think, that's the picture I want. That's, this is the one I want here. I want that one. It's brilliant, but something's gone wrong with it. When you look at it full size, you see what a pathetic face that is.
You can't do that face a few times today.
Yeah. You think, actually, what's the one before it like? And then you think, I rejected it because I didn't like it. But it might just get you out of the poo. And you can bin it later.
Are you casting for a film show?
Meditation.
Oh, yes. Meditation. So, It was just after lunch, yeah.
You sleep.
No. No. I want to talk a little bit about the actual catalogue now. I'm going to make this a bit bigger so you can see it better. You can drag these out to make them bigger. Not vertically bigger, unfortunately, but bigger. These are all my files. I've got one on the hard drive, internal. These are the folders and the file. Yeah, these are the folders which lead to all the files. So these are the files. These are folders. Some are internal, some are on the external drive. Doesn't matter. Just as long as you're reasonably consistent, I could come out of here and find them, because this is exactly what's on your hard drive with these names in this position. Let's give you a couple of useful things. Right, I'm going to unplug the hard drive. The external hard drive is now unplugged. See on here? It's now greyed out. But I can still see them all. Even the rubbish ones.
Is that because you're smart preview?
You can see them if you have a preview. Any preview will let you see them. But you can't edit them. I've got smart previews. So I can edit this. I can zoom in. I can even go into develop and do whatever I wish to do with it. I can edit it as a raw file. So just a quick bit of twiddles on it. And that's that. I can crop it. I can do whatever I want with it. I can even put masks on and delete things and whatever I want to do. What did I do then? Wrong one. It hasn't got a subject, so that's a bit pointless. Yeah, I meant to do sky, but I missed. Oh, right. Okay, let's just bin that. Delete mask. Right, I meant to hit that one. So that'll select the sky.
So what resolution is that smart preview?
Smart preview is 2,540 pixels on the longest edge. Whatever the original was. The original might be 3, might be 6, might be 10.
It said you can edit it as a raw file, but it's not like.
Doesn't matter, the number of pixels is irrelevant. It's the raw data.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
It works on the raw data.
So when I'm in my customer, I go on my file strip at the bottom, and I get that wonderful message, cannot locate file.
Yeah.
Is that because I haven't got smart filters?
Yeah, you're screwed. You can't do anything with it. You can see it, but you can't do anything with it. If you've got a smart preview, you can edit it. You can export it.
Or you can find your file.
Or you can find your file. I want to do that in a second. So that there, let's...
Right, can I just ask, can you do layers?
No, not in Lightroom. That's what you bring into Photoshop. But you do the basic editing of the raw file in your raw editor. Don't try to do a lot of twiddling in Photoshop in the rasterized file, because you're losing data. You're degrading the quality every time you do anything with it.
Could you import that smart preview one into Photoshop and carry on doing things?
The smart preview will not export, no. But you can't put that into Photoshop.
Okay.
Right, do you ever edit your smart preview thinking it's your full-size raw file? Is there anything to tell you before you start spending time on it?
Doesn't matter.
No, just from a time.
No, it doesn't matter. Because as soon as it sees the original file, all those edits are applied. It's not another file that you're editing and you've got to apply that onto it again. It's done.
So you plug your hard drive back in, it sees it.
Yes.
And it changes your. Yeah.
That's right.
And if you click on a smart edit thumbnail on an image you've already edited, it'll come up with all the settings of that previous
Yes,
edit, won't
that's
it?
right.
It retains that.
It's as if it's the same file.
Yeah, yeah.
It gives you most of the capabilities of a full file.
Mm.
So you can take your laptop away, edit your pictures.
Yes.
Taking your files with you, leave your files at home locked up.
Yeah. That's right, you can edit them. And when you come back home, plug it back in, and it's all done. So I'm just going to do a bit to the sky, just because I can. Again, do a bit of that there. There we go. That'll do. So whatever you can do, pretty much you can do on here, on your smart preview. Yeah? Right. Yes, Chuck.
Before you carry on, because you said before, so the size of it is good for a PDF. But if you can't export it,
No, you can't export it to Photoshop. You can do an export. It will tell you original files are missing. Do you want to carry on? Yes. And then you can export.
Right. Like these two my questions, but can you use the Lightroom AI Enhance to enlarge the smart?
No. No. No.
Can you, if you've not created smart previews or as you say, can you go back to your catalogue and create them?
Previews. Bill's, where am I? Bill Smart Previews.
Oh, so you can do it for everything.
You can do it whatever,
for your whole catalogue.
on an individual image, on a folder, on the whole lot. Yeah.
Where is that? That was on the.
That's under Library Previews. Yep.
You know, like you say, you can't do it in Photoshop, but you better save it elsewhere and drag it back into Photoshop at a later date, can't you?
You could do that,
Yeah.
if you're struggling, but
Only if you're struggling, like, editing.
if you've actually lost your original files, you've got something to work with.
if you haven't got smart previews and you've lost your original files, get it back.
Yeah, they've gone.
Oh, you've really lost them.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
It's an extra level of backup protection. So let's just shove this back in here.
How much memory does it use? Smart preview.
In what way? I mean, on disk.
Compared to normal standard.
They're reasonably small. Reasonably small. They're about 10% of the original file. Approximately. So I've put that in. You don't see any difference. But now when I zoom into 100%, it's all there. All the edits I've just done. Right. I was going to make a point of something in here, but it's beat me to it. I brought these in as embedded and sidecar. I've also got turned on build previews when it's not doing anything. Well, I've been doing stuff all the time, but it's still been quiet enough for it to build previews automatically in the background. And I haven't noticed. There's very little downside to using embedded. It just speeds things up a bit. One other advantage to using smart previews is that when you're in the develop module, it speeds it up. When you move to another image, it can load the smart preview first. Although it's yeah, well, It was.
That worked the same if you jumped into a different folder from a different.
Yeah, it just brings in. It will it will load in preference. If you've turned it on, you have to turn it on in preferences. It will load the smart preview first,
Right.
and then when you are working on it, will just quietly load the other one in.
Smaller files. So
yes, that's right. Okay. Does that make a lot of sense? Mm-hmm. Right. What I want to do now, quickly, is your files are here. Your folders are here in this. Do not go. Where is it? Show in Explorer. There it is, down at the bottom there. Do not go into the actual folder in here, in Bridge, or anything else, and start changing them. You think, well, actually, I don't want it called that. I'm just I don't want the date on. I'm just putting it there. That's right. There we go. Now, it's got smart previews, I think. But if you look in here, down there, it's gone. That needs to gone as well, but never mind. I think the camera went off by accident for a lot of those. But the files are not there. They're no longer there. If you go into Grid, you see in here, see that little square up there, that little rectangle? That's how it's got a smart preview. If it didn't have a smart preview, it would just be an exclamation mark. But it doesn't know where they are. You've lost them. It's lost track of them. The pictures are still where you have put them. Lightroom has not moved them anywhere else. You have messed up your catalogue. So we can go in here and we can go find missing folder. And then we can go and try and find the damn thing. No, let's have a look. Where was it? It was in places. Was it events? It was in events. Hebden Bridge. That one there. There you go. That's the one I want it to be. Select the folder. There we go. It's happy. It's all linked up again. It knows where they are. No problem. You can move things around in here. I've got one which is just a date. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's Lowry. Okay, let's rename it in here. Rename. I'll call it Lowry. Lowry. Save it. There you go. It's now called Lowry. If you go to where the file actually is, it's called Lowry. Whatever you do inside Lightroom is reflected outside. Whatever you do outside Lightroom, Lightroom doesn't know about, and you lose stuff. You can also rearrange it. So, Lowry, that's a place. I can put that in places, can't I? So, if I come down here, there's places. I get me Lowry, and I dump it in places. There we go. It says it's moving the files. I said, get on with it. And again, we go back in here, show in Explorer, and there it is, moved. This is why I say, until you are really comfortable with working in Lightroom, just work in Lightroom. Do not come out of it. If your catalogue is utter garbage, you can rename things in here, which is a bit of a pain in the posterior, but you can do it. Or you can do something called collections. You can make collections. Collections are wonderful things, and if you go into the develop module, if I go open that up, there's no folders. There are no folders. You can't navigate to a folder in develop unless you use this down here to go to the ones you've been to recently. But all your collections are there. You can get at them anytime. Build collections. Build collections on whatever criteria you want. You can, for example, let's go back into library. Let's say I want all my portraits as a portrait. No, I've got portrait collection. Let me go back up here. Let me see. Right, say, for example, I want to keep the one I'm working on as a separate collection. Oh man, sorry about inflicting this on you, but
Should inflict it next week. That's how we did the shoot.
so I can go into Oldham and say, create a collection called Oldham. There it is, called Oldham. I can put it inside a collection set. I'm going to put it inside portrait and go create. I now have a collection inside portrait called Oldham. What else I can do? I'll show you what I've actually done. So, for example, here's one. Here's one called Tudor. It's a smart collection. If I double click on that, it opens up smart collection. And that means any keywords that have got the word Tudor in, it dumps in this collection. Any. From anywhere in the catalogue. It keeps them all together. All my Tudor pictures are in here. And if I want to add some more, so come out of that. But these are the ones, it's not all my Tudor stuff. I can go up to places, which I can't find, because I haven't done them. That's why. Okay. I've only got some catalogues here. So if I went to Little Moreton Hall, that's a Tudor place. I can go in here, select them all, Control A, select them all, click in the keywords and add Tudor. If I now go back into the Tudor collection, you see it's gone up to 671 now. It's got them all in. And you can do all this and more without actually making a collection. You can show this filter bar at the top. And if we go into all photographs, you can search all your photographs by text, any searchable text. So if you know the file name, type it in there. Another good reason for renaming your files, because who remembers the number? No. You can sort them. You can sort them by flags. You've got flags down here, but you've also got the same flags and other filtering stuff at the top by all the images. So if I want to find all my rated images, well, it's on one at the minute. Let's find only 2 stars. Click on that. All the 2 stars in that catalogue are there. Not many of them. So I'm going to come out of that. Now, I've selected just 2 stars at the minute. And there's not very many. Oh no, there we go. That's better. Oh, thank you. You've got metadata. You can select on Not a lot, because I've got this open. Let's turn that off. Turn the attributes off. There we go. This is all of them now. You can select by date. This is not date in your catalogue. This is date in the file. So you can go to an exact date. These are all taken with the R6. But if you've got more than one camera, you can select them by camera. You can select them by what lens you used. There you go. So all my 90Ds. There we go. These I shot with my 90D. You can select by lens. You can select by keyword. You can select by anything in this list. Anything in there you can select by.
Is that all your metadata?
All the metadata. Yeah. You know, file type as well, and what you've done on the edit. Are they edited or unedited? So you can sort through the ones you haven't edited yet.
That's on the new update, isn't it? Editing.
I have no idea, to be honest. I only just spotted it. I don't keep up to date with the updates. So there's a lot of ways of finding your pictures. That's pretty much all I've got time for on that. I want to cover one other aspect, which I did say I was going to do. And that's develop. Now I could choose a subset here. I could choose whatever, or I could go into the catalogues and collections. I'm going to leave that as it is. Turn that off. I'm going to go into whatever's. I've actually done a little bit of editing already on this thing. As you saw, originally it was dire. But with a bit of tweaking, that's what it ends up as. Look at the histogram. You can see there's nothing clipped at either end. Everything's in there that should be. You look at the original file or something similar. In fact, if I go to that and I just reset it. No, wrong one. Hit undo. You've got an undo button, thankfully. I don't even know what I've edited there, that one. Yeah. So I'm going to reset that one. That's an HDR version of these others. And as you can see, everything's in there. It's HDR, so I've got 16 bits of data to work with. But when I've edited it, I'm just moving things around a bit. Come on. There we go. When you're editing, you want to, before you take it into Photoshop, get it as close as you can. Make sure your histogram's right. Make sure you've not messed anything up. Go through all the things you need to go through. Let's have a look. Go in there. Here we go. Here's one. Come on. I've got things going on in the background and it's slowing it down a bit. Sorry. So, a couple of pictures here. Oh, here's a happy chappy. If I reset that, that's it. There's lots of other extra bits in here. But look at the histogram. It's pretty much right in camera. There's nothing burnt out. I'm going to bring the highlights down because I want to see more of the whites. See these red bits? That says there is actually some burnt out. I've lost that. But bringing the highlights down, I can bring those back in. If I bring the highlights down, I then go to the whites and bring that up. Anybody tell me why I do that?
Because your whites become a bit dull.
Yes. The whites go dull, as you can see. They go dull. They go grey. It's not real. It looks wrong. You've got to put the contrast back in. So you've got to pull your whites up. Don't try to bring your highlights down with your whites. It's not what it's for. Don't do it. Unless you're really struggling using your highlights and your whites. But not a good idea. And just quickly show you, you can edit directly on the histogram. So I might want to bring the midtones up a little bit. Bring the highlights down a little bit. I want to give it a little bit more oomph to it. Add some texture to it. I love dehaze. I like to add some contrast in the shadows. I will usually bring the vibrance up a bit and the saturation down a bit. You might want to do it the other way. You might want to go into the tone curve. It's the same tone curve that you have in Photoshop. It's extremely powerful. Do you need it in Lightroom? You don't need it because you've got lots of other things that do similar jobs. But it's sometimes just great for doing stuff. Moving on down, you've got the colour mixer. You want to twiddle with your colours, you can do to your heart's content. So you've got hue, saturation and luminance. So let's say I think that the saturation of that pork pie is a bit much. I don't know what colour it is. I don't know and I don't care. I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to drag it. There you go. So the pork pie is mostly orange. Okay, it's brought the orange slider down. Went over it. And cropping, nice and simple. Hit the crop button. Half a crop. I've got it unlocked so I can put whatever size I want in there. Get rid of those highlights from outside. Get rid of that there, that'll do. Get rid of that rubbish off the edge. Get rid of some of that. Bit more down. Don't like that triangle over his head. It's a bit tight, but I can live with it. But I can also turn him round just a tad. That depends whether you want verticals vertical or you don't. If you do, then you can correct them. There we go. Cropped. You can click on that to lock it. So that is now locked with that aspect ratio. Moving on quickly. Color grading. Really powerful, really useful. Someone mentioned copying color grades.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Let's have some other pictures, shall we? What have I got? Now that's what I call a texture. It didn't go off by accident. That's a texture, and it belongs in my.
I mean, you actually chose it.
It goes in my texture collection. Here we go. We've got a couple of pictures on here. I'm going to go into the grid view just to choose a couple of pictures. Right, okay. These'll do. Right. This one, say I wanted to use that picture But say I did that one, but I want the colour grade from that picture. Sorry, I'm choosing them all. There we go. I'm going to do I'm going to do C for compare. I can compare the two, but I'm going to go in back into colour grade and select. See, that one gives you midtones, shadows, and highlights. You've got buttons here for individual ones. This is the shadows. I'm going to choose a shadow from there. See that box down the bottom? Click on that. Grab the little tool and shadow. Now, this is what it's coming from. I don't want that one. I want the other one. So, just use me. Come on. There we go. So I'm going to go in there. Click on that. Pick a shadow that I want like the colour of. I'm going to help if I try that. There we go. So that one, I've just collected that off there. So I'm going to apply it. I'm making a mess because I'm aware of the time. Right, so I'm going to set this swatch to the current colour. Then I'm going to pick a mid-tone. Again, let's have a skin. I'm going to take a mid-tone and set that to the current colour. And a highlight, let's have it from down there. And set that one to the current colour. Now I'm going to go to the other picture and go shadows. In here, that's my shadows. Midtones. In here, that's my midtones. Highlights. In here, those are my highlight colours. I've now stolen the grade. It's crude, but it works. You then might want to tweak them. I haven't got time to go into colour grading. It's nice. You might find a use for it.
With Michael, I'm like, you've got blacks, whites, and then you've got contrasts. Well, contrast black and white. So which would you use, and why would you prefer one to the other?
At what point?
Well, suppose you're in the
in the basic panel.
Yeah.
They are completely different. Contrast is the overall contrast of the picture. See?
Yeah.
That's the contrast. Blacks are that area at the bottom, which are the blacks. See, it's crunching the blacks up. So I'm pulling the blacks down. The whites are the top end.
But if you increase the whites and darken the blacks,
you can spread them about, but you're not going to change the contrast of the whole picture. These are specific to these particular areas. So blacks, shadows, exposure.
It's contrast, but in a set area.
Contrast will affect the whole of the image.
Yeah, but the black will affect it in just a selected area.
It's not affecting contrast. It's actually moving the blacks. So if I drag that, you see I'm moving the blacks. All the rest will move, but only less than the blacks. The whites, again, same. Everything will move slightly, but it's mostly the whites. The highlights is that area, which does drag your whites down, does bring your exposure down, but there's very little to the shadows. But again, it's not contrast, it's exposure in the ones. Yeah, that's right. But contrast is your general contrast, or you can go into your tone curve and add some contrast to that. That's your contrast as well. They are interdependent, but you can use them out. Like your tone controls, your bass, treble, and mids on your hi-fi, if you still remember these things.
I do.
Yeah.
Is this something that we could cover maybe in week 4?
Yeah.
In a bit more?
That's. I just want to go over your sharpening. This one I've actually done a lot too already. Sharpening. You should always add some sharpening. Always. Your camera softens the image, you need to add sharpening. But you need to be careful how you add it. If you've got a noisy image, you've got to make sure you don't sharpen the noise. That's what this is for. It's masking slider. If I hold the magic Alt button and get hold of the masking slider, see how it's changed? Goes to black and white. That is no masking. That means it will sharpen everything in your picture. You can take this out, so it only sharpens the heavier edges, the stronger edges. So you end up at this end not sharpening the noise. Do not sharpen noise. Well, there isn't time for a lot more, but just remember, masking is really powerful.
Light is what else darker.
Yes, that's right. Radius wants to be quite low, usually. Detail is complicated. Noise reduction, you've got your magic AID noise, which works wonderful. Don't do it at a high level because it will destroy it like all denoises does. But you can add a little bit of noise reduction. If you're over here with noise reduction, use the AID noise, but be careful. Right, I've done enough stuff there. What I want to just very quickly do is to bring this into Photoshop. Okay? I want to edit this in Photoshop. So I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to edit in. I could hit that button, edit in Adobe Photoshop. I don't, or very, very rarely do. What I do is open as a smart object in Photoshop. Now this may take a moment. It will open the beta, sorry. That was the last one that was updated. Those of you who are worried that opening a smart object in Photoshop is going to make it a huge file, that is not true. Opening a smart object in Photoshop can actually make a smaller file than opening the non-smart object. So, okay, we've got that one. I'm going to find a background to put this on. But before I do, let's just do a quick filter. Where am I? Select. Fact. Let's do a good select. I'm going to click on that button over there. The quick selection tool. I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm going to go up to here. I'm going to make sure Enhance Edge is on. I'm going to go to this down arrow and make sure Cloud is selected. Internet should be all right here. And then select Subject. It has a little think about it. Well, it's up into the cloud. There you go. And that's given me a pretty damn good selection. I'm going to mask it. I don't want to lose anything. I'm working non-destructively. It's a smart object. What does it mean by a smart object?
You can go back to it.
You can go back. You can go back. Yep. Just bring something else in here. I'm going back into Lightroom. I'm going down to my Tudor collection. Select the stars. Come on. It's struggling a bit now, but never mind. There we go. I'm going to bring that one in. So again, edit in. It's only going to be a background, but I'm going to be resizing it. So until I have got everything the right size, I'm going to keep them as smart objects. So back over to Photoshop. Here we go. Right, I'm going to drag that into there. There we go. Into the move tool. Stick it behind. Let's resize it. Control T to resize. Shift to constrain. And that's a bit much. Oops. Wrong button. That was control. Undo that. There we go. That'll do. Move that behind. Take Bree down. Control T. Resize. Okay, down there somewhere. Have a crop. Do that. Where's my crop? There's a crop. Crop it. I've nothing. I've no aspect ratio selected, so I'm just going to come down here. Down there. Notice I've turned off delete cropped pixels. I don't want to bin any yet.
It won't anyway.
It won't because it's a smart object. But I can change it, move it around. And there we go. No! Sorry, I've got generative expand on there.
Shows you how easy it is to do it by accident.
Yeah, I didn't even realise. So back in crop, let's just take that down there. Take that up there. It will just try to do it because it can. If you go beyond, you can turn it off. Don't know where it is, but you can turn it off. But for the minute, let's just crop it. There we go. That's cropped. And save it. Save. Go back in Lightroom. Let's find our Brie. Let's go into grid. And it's not there. That's a different one. That's a completely different one altogether. There it is. Right. And it's here. It's in Lightroom. So to work on a Photoshop file, I can still get at it through Lightroom. I don't need to look anywhere else. I'm not going to try and open that one because it'll take too long, because that's about 3 gig. But here, if I want to re-edit this picture from Lightroom, editing, not doing it as a object this time because it's edited. So edit in Photoshop, and down at the bottom, edit original. That means use the file you've saved. Edit that, and it will open up in Photoshop. It's already open in Photoshop, so it can't actually do anything, but here it is in Photoshop. There you go. It says it's changed it. Do you want to update? Yeah, go on. Oh, there you go. And if you want to get at the actual file itself for whatever reason, show in Explorer. And there it is. And if you look at that, that's 449 meg. And just so you've got an idea, if I was to bring that in fact, if I select those and just make them, no, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll show you something else. I'm going to put these in the quick collection. Oh, but I have to close that first. I'm going to put these in the quick collection. B. Add to quick collection.
How did you do that? Sorry.
I went to B. The letter B is there's a button down there which you can click on, or you can go wherever it is, add to quick collection. Or you can drag it in. I'm also going to go, oh, there you are. No, yeah. There's always lots of ways of doing things. I'm just going to go back into Tudor one, select that one. That one is also going to go in the quick collection. And if I go to down here, quick collection, I've got these 3 images in. I'm going to select those 2. I'm going to do this a quick and dirty way. Edit in Photoshop. Open as layers in Photoshop. That will just open as straightforward layers in Photoshop when it gets round to it. There's one. The other one will come in on top. It will then resize all the various bits and pieces so it all fits together. Now, who out there who doesn't edit in Smart Objects makes a duplicate copy of the bottom layer? Yeah? Okay, well, let's make a duplicate copy. If you're using Smart Objects, you don't need to bother. But let's make one anyway. There we go. I'll do a quick mask on that. Into there. Flex up. In fact, I'm going to show you without. On device is quicker. Select subject. There we go. Apply that mask. Let's stick it above. It's nowhere near as good. It really is nowhere near as good. I'm just going to zoom out. I'm holding Alt and just zooming out. Resize that one. Come down a bit. Stick it down there somewhere. It's only approximate. And then do a quick crop on it. Crop. Again, just bring that up there. That down there. That over there. It's a similar sort of thing. It's not exactly the same. Do that. File. Save. Give that a more to save.
Save it when you just do a
It's
save.
going to save it exactly the same place it's loaded it from. So if I go back to 3, in fact, it might actually save it in Tudor over there. Collections. Got to be glad to get my other eye done. I can be able to see everything. That's the one that it's just brought in. Edit 2. It's put it in Tudor because that was the one that I opened first. So we go to Show in Explorer. There you go. It is small. It's 289 meg. But you've no benefits of any smart object there. So it's a little bit smaller if you don't use smart objects. Right, I've definitely completely run out of time.
Did it select Breathe Better because you had it as a smart object?
No, it selected Breathe Better because I use the cloud.
Right, okay, is that it?
Yes.
Thank you. I was pondering it for 4 minutes.
Right, okay. Thank you. Plunges into light. I covered most of the things I wanted to cover. I dragged it out a bit too long, sorry.
No, the time was perfect, actually. 10 o'clock. Just brilliant. Any other questions?